everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another Sketch Sunday video. Yes, I said Sketch Sunday, and even though this is Saturday, this is going up a little early because it's Mother's Day and I don't know what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So I'm going to just show you the sketch. It comes to you from My Favorite Things. So this is the sketch design, and it will be available, the link to this sketch will be available in the more information section of my blog. I'm going to show you the card, and then we'll get into how I created it. So this is the card here, and based off of that sketch, and stay tuned to see how it was done. So to begin with the card, we are going to be using the Misty, the most incredible stamping tool invented. And if you saw, it came with 2 dies, which is what I just showed you, the round circles. We're going to be using the stamp sets and dies from My Favorite Things called Your Super. So I took some Canton extra large watercolor paper, and I used the solid superhero die to cut an image out from it, and we're going to be using the negative piece to line up the stamp to get some perfect stamping on the cutout that we did. I prefer to do this rather than stamp it out and then cut out around it. It's just so much easier. Now, using the Misty, you can get perfect stamping. You put the die cut back in there, and then we're going to ink it up with My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink. When I use watercolor paper, I never seem to get a great impression the first time because the surface is not that smooth. So I usually tend to use the Misty. So just like it's the case, this one did not come out great. The first time it came out good, but not great. I wanted really clean, crisp black lines, so I stamped it out again. And it's a perfect way to get a perfect impression on watercolor paper. So there you go, and there is the focal image for our card. So next I'm going to be using some Gamsol and some Derwent Inktense pencils to color in the image. I let the image dry for a little bit before I went on to doing that so the color wouldn't smudge. And that image that you saw was one of the practice images that I did. So now I'm just going to show you the pencils that I used. That one was the Bark 2000, and I'm just going over probably the darkest parts of the hair to add some color, and then I'm going back in with Willow, which is 1900, and filling in all the spots. Now if you notice, I'm not going through and filling all of that in. Then I'm using the the paper stubs that go back, and you put Gamsol on them, and they help blend the pencil together. It actually moves the color around so you don't have to color in the whole area. You use it almost like a crayon, and you keep dipping in the Gamsol whenever you feel like it's getting dry. So I colored in all of her hair this way, and then I just went back over the parts that I didn't think blended too well. This helps get rid of those harsh pencil lines that sometimes happen when you color with colored pencils. So it's a good way to get shading and blending in the hair. You can go in and color it in circles. So that's her hair, and you can notice that there's several different tones of the brown in there. And I went back in because there was a little part that I missed. I think I do need to actually sand down my blending stub. But now I'm getting ready to pick out the next colors, and that is going to be for her outfit. So I forgot to show you the colors. I will show you in a minute, but this is fuchsia, and it's 700. So again, I just went over in the parts where it would be the darkest and put a lot of pencil down. Then I went back over to some of the other places that didn't need as much color, but I thought maybe needed a little bit so that we could blend. So I'm just going in circles and moving the color around. It makes it really, really easy. This is only the second time I've used Gamsol. I used it for the first time on the superhero that I showed you in the beginning, and I really like it. It's a very easy technique. I have sped this up. It does take a little while to move some of the colors around and to get the perfect blending that you want. But I do find it fairly easy to do. It just can be a little bit time consuming. I think that as time goes on and I practice using Gamsol more, it'll get a little bit easier. So I have several blending stumps, and I have one for each color family. So if you notice, her outfit had shading there, had lights and darks. And we're going back in the purple and using the cape, and that color is violet, and that looks like it's 800. So I'm just coloring in her belt, her the bottoms of her sleeves, and her cape. Now I went back in and I colored underneath. There's like a fold over of the cape, so I made sure that that had the darkest color of purple so that it would be the darkest like shading. So you can easily go back and take color away, add more color with the Gamsol. It's really, really easy to use. I find that it gives some pretty nice results. So again, just coloring the bottom of the cape. And I thought this would be really cute for Mother's Day, for like a super mother kind of. I just thought that this image was really cute. I've used it once or twice before, but I really liked it and thought that it would be great for Mother's Day. So again, just blending with the blending stubs and some Gamsol. So there you go. So it almost doesn't give it a it almost gives it more of like a watercolor image look rather than a colored pencil look. So then I went back in with the fuchsia pencil 700 and added color to her boots. So the bottom of her boots are going to be the fuchsia, and then I'm going to go back in with some of that violet and color in the tops of it. I probably should have sped this up a little bit more, but I wanted you guys to see a little bit more of the technique and about how often you have to go back and dip your blending stump into Gamsol. I really do think that the other ones, like the brown one that I had, it needs to be gone back and you sharpen it with sandpaper. So I need to do that to get some of the color off and give it a nice point again. So the last color that we're going to use, and this is what I'm trying out, I was trying out two colors of colored pencil, and I wasn't sure which one I was going to use. So I used the other one last time for the face, and I think it came out a little bit too dark. So I used Mustard 1700 this time, and I just went very, very lightly around the parts of her face where the hair falls, and then just kind of smoothed it out so that it would be lighter, and then a little bit darker around the chin, and I also went darker on the edges of her legs on both sides, and then the middle kind of has a highlight to it. So there is the superhero. So next I used the In and Out stitched rectangle die set from My Favorite Things. I used the second to the largest one and cut it out from just some regular white cardstock. And we're going to be using seedless preserves and picked raspberry to create the background. I also showed you the washi tape that I was going to use on the front of the card. So now I'm just going and putting some picked raspberry on with my mini ink blending tool. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a fantastic tool, very easy to put the ink down on. It's a Tim Holtz product, I believe, and it's very easy to use. It is kind of messy. I tend to, when I use distress inks, I tend to get ink all over the place. So I kind of just wanted to have a pink and purple background like her outfit and like the washi tape that I had picked out. So I'm just going back in and blending these. Colors blend together so easily, especially these two, but I also, after I was done, I thought I wanted to do a separate technique, so you'll see that in a minute. But I just kind of went back and forth and blended until I had something that I thought that I liked. So then I put the superhero on top of it, and I thought that it looked okay. But I was looking for my mini mister because I thought what I wanted to do was add some droplets to it. So instead I just used my hands, and that was a water cup of clean water, and I just put a bunch of dots over top of it, and it creates different colors. You'll see in a minute. And then I'm just taking a paper towel and wiping it up. It also helped wipe the excess ink off of my mat. So that's what it looks like. It gives it kind of like a raindrop look. I actually think I liked it better before I did all of that, but I went back and added a little bit more distress ink to it, but the paper was still a little wet, so it was a little bit difficult to do. But it acts nice. Distress ink reacts nicely with water. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to lay it flat on there. Oh, I was going to create the background, sorry. So this is the mom stamp from that Seam Superheroes Your Super stamp set, and there's also a star in there. I wanted to have it like kind of like a step and repeat look in the background, so I stamped mom, and then there was a star, and I stamped that next in the black ink, the same black licorice hybrid ink that I used to stamp out the superhero girl. I tried to line this up and it just wasn't working. I ended up just mounting mom on the one side of the block and the star on the other. And it's not lined up perfectly. And I tried to use one of the blending tools to push the stamps into place because it wasn't really working. But I wanted it to look like a step and repeat, so that one didn't stamp too well. So I decided, forget it, I'm going to take it off and stamp mom and then stamp the star separately. So that's when I mounted it on the sides. So this is just me going through and going back and forth and stamping mom and star and then having them alternate. First one starts with mom and then the next row starts with the star. So there's 2 moms and 2 stars on every row. So just stamping away. I probably could have sped this part up too, but I didn't realize how long it took me to actually do this, to go back and forth. But I guess you can kind of see in real time how long it takes to make some of the backgrounds of the cards. I happened to be watching a show where there was a step and repeat the other day, and I think that's why this stuck in my mind as a technique to do. So I'm going to do my last row now. And then we're going to get ready to put the girl superhero on top. So that's what it looks like. Kind of looks like a step and repeat. There was one part that one mom that did not stamp properly. So what you can do, because it's black ink, I just took a Studio G black marker and went over it. I also put the superhero girl up a little bit higher so that you really couldn't see that, because it didn't come out great. I usually will use a black jelly roll pen, and that makes it a little bit better. So now I'm just using some pop dots. These pop dots are fantastic. They are $1 or $1.50 depending on what your Michaels has them listed at, but they're super fantastic. There's 100 of them on there, but then there's also the sides of it, so don't throw it away after you're done. I actually use the sides, because you can actually use them as pop dots. So then I cut the one circle in half so that I would have half a moon on each foot, and then just attach it. Now what I should have done was put the ATG gun on the back of it before that. So I think I missed that part where I attached the front to the, I realized my video camera died in the middle of it, so sorry about that. So the rest was just attaching that and putting the washi tape on the front. So then I picked up this Recollections, it's a Color Splash ombre ink pad. It's a combination of pink and purple, and I'm using this stamp from, I think, Stampabilities. It says, "A mother is someone who can take the place of all others, but whose place no one else can take." So there is the card. Thank you guys so much for watching.